Hello! Today we're going to be taking the F-86 Sabre from Shrike Simulations in Microsoft Flight Simulator from China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station in California, and we're going to be flying up the canyons to go and visit Star Wars Canyon as it's become known. So we're going to show you how to get there, how to find Star Wars Canyon, and then we'll fly back and land at China Lake. So the version of China Lake I've got here is from FlightSim.To. I'll try and find a link for it and put everything you need in the comments of the video in case you wanted to recreate this flight. Okay, so let's go and jump inside the aeroplane, but before we do that, let's have a little look at the map. So we're looking at China Lake here, and if we zoom in, we're going to go, and because of the wind, we're going to go and take off runway 21. So we'll just turn right after starting the aeroplane up. And then we're going to fly out towards Searles Lake, and then turn north and fly up through the canyon, and you'll have easy visual reference points. So the easy reference point to find the turn in towards Star Wars Canyon is this outcrop, which is on a dry piece of lake bed as well. If we actually go to a satellite view, it's very easy to spot because there's a pale colour around the outcrop as well. Okay, so let's see how we get on, shall we? So we'll just zoom out. I'm going to put this back onto terrain view in the map because it's easier to look at. Let's go and get the F-86 started up, shall we? So power goes to external. If we go and look outside, we can see the generator has been plugged in. We can see there's lots and lots of traffic parked around at China Lake. Obviously a lot of the Navy weapons training happens here. Then we go and put the master switch on for the engine, put the starter on, and the engine will fire up. We'll calibrate the altimeter while we're here. We also need to just open the throttle a little bit, which will switch on the fuel pumps and the ignition system. Okay, let's go and close the canopy. We're just waiting for all that to happen. While we're waiting for that, we could have a little look around some of the rest of the airplane, some of the things we've never looked at before. So if we go and turn on the master switch for the guns, you get a gun sight. We're probably not going to need it because you can pretend to fire them. We'll do that while we're flying up there just to show you that. If you click on this red panel here, the emergency escape instructions, you get a GPS instead of the gun sight. So it's probably worth having that just so you can see where you are on a map. Unfortunately, it's not a satellite map, so it's not of much use to us, and we need custom waypoints, so we're not going to bother with that. We'll just go visually. I think it looks nicer with the head-up display, to be honest. Okay, engine is coming up to power, so we can go and turn the external power off now, and we can go and switch the starter over to battery. We can put the position lights to flash, and we're pretty much ready to go. The rest of this is going to be visual today, so if we remove the parking brake, have a look outside. That removes the chocks around the aircraft. So we're going to go and follow the taxiway out to the right. So let's put our head tracking on. There's lots of F-18s parked around. There's some F-35s behind us as well. It's a very good version of the base, isn't it? I gather there's lots of animated people around. One of the prerequisites for the China Lake scenery from FlightSim.To is that you also install some animated people. So we'll probably see that when we come back in. We'll have a nose around and go and see what they've developed. So let's go and have a quick look at the map then to see where we are on the base. So we need to go right turn here actually. So we're going to follow the path around to the runway. I presume it's this way. Hopefully. So I don't think I should be taxiing across this broken old piece of hard standing, but we'll see. Runway 21. That's the one for us. So I'm not going to use flaps for takeoff. We'll just go for speed. It's a lovely long runway. Okay, just watching the indicated airspeed coming up. There's 100 knots. We're just coming through. And we should be able to rotate about now. And there we go. Gear up. Yes, really well modelled airbase, isn't it? Okay, so you can see at the moment we're flying out. We actually want to double back on ourselves here. So we'll do a left turn round to about 70 degrees, I think it is. Let's have a look at the map. Yeah. So we've got 70 degrees out to LaWs Lake. And then we follow the canyons. So we'll just fly straight over the top of the town here. Coming around towards 70 degrees. Obviously we can probably go for 60 because we have extended downrange. So you can see there's a big valley out the other side of this outcrop, which is where we will be flying. So we say goodbye to China Lake for the moment. So I said about turning the gun sight on, didn't I, while we're in flight, just have a play with it. So if you turn the gun sight on, which you can obviously now see there, hovering around, it doesn't simulate the radar tracking gun sight, because obviously it has no radar, but you can fire the guns. So from inside they sound like this. And if you look outside, so it's just a bit of decoration really for the aeroplane. So I'll go and turn that back off. Interesting, you would have expected the cover to have shut the switch off itself, but it didn't. Anyway. So the non-marketplace, obviously you only get weapons in the non-marketplace version of the aircraft. The marketplace version, because of the rules the Sabre puts upon these things, won't have any weapons installed. Okay, so we're just coming in across the edge of LaWs Lake and then we'll turn up the valley. Let me just correct LittleNavMap so we can see everything. There we go. So we're going to fly north up the valley towards that outcrop that I was talking about. So we can do the rest of this visually. So you just skirt round. You can see down here, LaWs Lake. So there's another airfield we're just about to pass over the top of. I forget the name of it, let's have a quick look. It's Trona L72. So if we go and do a lazy turn around the outside of it, you'll get to see it. Let me just check the volume levels while we're flying up here. Yeah, so you can hear me over the top of the engine, that's all good. Okay, so we're heading straight up this valley. So should we go low level for a while? Let's just drop in and correct trim to stop us climbing. The F-86, or this simulated version of it, seems to be quite sensitive to speed in terms of pitch. So obviously it generates more lift as it accelerates, although it has been updated in the last couple of days. So this is actually the second pre-release of the Sabre, because it's still not available for sale, as far as I understand, until tomorrow. So you can see our shadow over there. So we'll play games with flying low with the shadow underneath us along the way. So we're full throttle at the moment. We're just edging beneath 500 knots. I think it tends to stabilise at about 450 knots. Obviously depending on wind and weather conditions. So we'll continue on up the valley, and you'll see the outcrop that we're aiming for as our navigation point, of where we turn in towards Star Wars Canyon, as it's called. Well, it's its common name. It's not actually called that on a map. Right, let's get a little bit of altitude. See our shadow go racing off across the mud flats below us. There's the outcrop, and there's the light patch around it. So we're flying about 345 degrees up the middle of the mud flats, basically, in between the two ridges. So, full disclosure, I have done a bit of reconnaissance of Star Wars Valley before recording this, just to get an idea of how to fly it, because I've never seen it before. And there are some lessons to learn, and some inventive ways you can wrap an aeroplane around the scenery at high speed. So we'll overfly it at altitude first, just to point out some features, and then we'll loop back around and have a couple of goes at flying through the valley. And there's no guarantee I'll do it successfully, because it's quite a difficult area to navigate. Okay, so the valley entrance is across here. So it's all about becoming familiar with the scenery, really. It's worth pointing out, I think this high peak up here, it's called Telescope Peak, I think it's called. It's like set back slightly from the other peaks nearby, and a bit higher. Okay, so as we get towards, I'm going to stay to the right, because we're going to turn left over the top of this to give you some idea of getting a visual reference of what it looks like on the way in. It's pretty obvious when you get on top of it, because there are two entrances and we want the left-hand one, because the right-hand one just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have a canyon to follow. That's it. Yeah, so as I said, there's two entrances. So let's roll. So as you come in towards the canyons, there's two of them. You want the left-hand one. You can see it snakes off into the distance. So we'll fly above the canyon to the right and look down into it on our first pass. Could do this from the outside view, couldn't we? Can you still hear me over the top of this? Or just about? So maybe I will do it from inside. So you can see, as you come in here, you're going uphill the whole time. That's something worth knowing. It's quite steep. So you're going to stay in the center of the valley along this first part. You just climb a little bit. Then it's a straight line along here. And then there's a deceptive kink. If you try and stay in the bottom of here, you will crash into this hillside. So you have to kind of ignore that turn and straight line it to come out of the far end. Does that make sense? If you look at that, it's just a bit too tight to make that final turn, so you come barreling up here. If you try and turn into that corner, you'll just hit the opposite hillside. I had to give up on it and climb out in a bit of a panic several times before I realised, it depends on the aircraft you're flying of course, about these last few turns. Because yeah, if you try to make that turn, then you'll switch back and you can't switch back again in time to fly out of the end. So you're better off straight lining these at just at low level. Of course, how low you get is up to you. So let's go back out. So we'll loop around these hills and come back in. So at this point I'm going to come off full throttle and let the aeroplane coast a little bit. Okay, so we'll do the first pass quite high. So again, it's all about getting your bearings on these corners and where the outcrops are. So you've got the straight line, and then you've got this increasingly tight, twisting part of the trip. So we turn, there's another outcrop here, so you have to be not too close. Then you straight line these, and then turn for the exit. So again, it all happens very, very quickly when you're at speed. So let's go back round. So we've ended up at about 300 knots at the end of that. So we'll go back out towards the canyon, or towards the mud flats, and then come back in. I'm just reducing the throttle and it's complaining that I haven't got the undercarriage down, which is a trick the Sabre does. It doesn't like going below about 2/3 throttle. Okay, so we'll go in a bit lower this time. So you almost need to map out a strategy for how you're going to arrange the turns before you get to them. Excuse me. So notice how uphill this looks. This mud flow here is quite significantly uphill. So we're at 400 knots on the way in. We will start losing speed probably on the way up the incline and making the turns obviously. So we're down to just about 370 knots, 380 knots. Remember the bit about straight lining this, because you won't make it otherwise. And out through the end. Open the engine up. So there you go, that is Star Wars Canyon. It's remarkably difficult, it's much more difficult than it looks. It requires practice to do it well. and I'm still not very good at it. But it's knowing where the curves are, which side you should be of the canyon as you come out of each corner, you know, to best prepare you for the next section. And obviously you need to know the roll rate of your aeroplane and what your turn radius is to be able to get away with things. So let's go and fly back down and admire the scenery on the way back down to China Lake. So I'll shut up for a bit. There was a glitch. There was a glitch just then with the controllers, wasn't there? Seems to be a repeating pattern with Flight Simulator. But the USB drivers have never been that great. Okay, so that's Telescope Peak back there, so you can use that as a reference point to know how far along you are. It's about halfway down on the way back. So yeah, like I said, we'll average about 450 knots, go a little bit faster if you descend, but not much. Should we go and trace this road? It's a very, very straight road up the middle of the valley. If we get on the other side of the road, then we'll see our shadow, I imagine. Where's the shadow behind us? Yeah, there it is. Oh, running out of road anyway. Okay, so I think we passed through this gap. Let's have a little look at the map while we're on our way. Yeah, we want to be turning slightly right now. So we'll go and buzz the hills on the way out. So if we buzz across the top of these hills as well, we'll come in towards China Lake and figure out, we should be coming in, I guess, the same runway we took off from. The wind hasn't changed, has it? No, there's more wind out in the flat of the valley than there is around the hills. Should we go and have some fun? Just go and cut across to do some low level through the hills on the way. Okay. Yeah, so that's China Lake down here where you can see the buildings. So we'll go out to the right. Oh, I tell a lie, it's the one further away, isn't it? Out in the flat of the valley. Or on the mud flat, I should say. There's obviously lots of testing areas for weapons around here. So gunnery ranges and targets and all kinds of things. It's very remote out here. So let's do a circle of the base before we go and land, just to show you it. So this is the runway we'll be coming in on. Excuse me. I've had an awful cough and cold the last week, which is why I haven't done many videos. So this is going to be a plane spotting expedition now, isn't it, to see what's parked up. I think it's all fighters, there's no big planes around, are there? Lots of F-18s, lots of F-35s. Okay, maybe not as interesting as we thought then. Though there's a... oh, look down there, F-15? An F-111 or something like that was in the boneyard. Interesting. Might have been an F-14. Okay, let's have a look at where we are. So we're just turning around then. So, are the brakes working? Yes, they are. The brakes work remarkably well. You can see the speed falling off. So we're too high at the moment. So I'm just going to do a circle, do an orbit to lose some altitude and some airspeed. So we're 250 knots at the moment. And getting lower all the time. $200 knots. There we go, that's better. So gear down. Whoa. Sorry about that. So we're about on the glide slope. Just getting lined up to the centre line, and we're swaying around all over the place. This is just lack of practice on my part. Two reds, two whites, which is good. Okay, not quite on the centre line, but I'll take it. Wheel brakes. So where are the taxiways here? Or do we just go along the runway? Let's have a quick look. Okay, we can come off onto runway 08. Okay, the airplane's trying to obviously weathercock into the wind, so I'm fighting that to a certain extent, but it's not too bad. It's a huge base, isn't it? There's big buildings everywhere. Okay, so we're getting closer. Let's go and have a little look. So, okay, we go past the intersection of the runways, and then we should find a taxiway. And here it is. So, oh, do I see a stealth fighter over there? Or is that an F-35? They're stealth fighters, aren't they? Oh, we've got to go and have a look, haven't we? Very cool. And this is the animated people they were talking about, I guess. Going to have a nose around the base. So there are F-35s over there, and I'm guessing these airplanes in here don't exist. Yes, an F-117, fantastic. Oh, we'll go and park up here with them then, because we shouldn't be here either really in a F-86. We didn't see this. It is not here. Very cool. I love the hangars as well. Oh, maybe we will carry on nosing around. We'll just double back on ourselves. Very cool, isn't it? The work they've done on all the hangars and the aircraft is very good, especially for a free piece of scenery. And the military temporary covers for the aircraft, very good. I wonder what else is hiding out here then. So we've got a mixture of F-18s and F-35s here. So these are Super Hornets, aren't they? Yeah, just looking at the shape of the inlets. I'm going to get told off for doing this, aren't I? A non-cleared tour of the base. Should we park our aeroplane in one of these hangars then? Okay, so I've read several things about there are potentially places you can click to get the there's this very specific way you have to do this to get it to shut the engine off, but you can also do it just by turning the master switch off for the engine, then turn the airplane off basically. So if we go and have a look outside, there's our aeroplane now in the hangar. Very cool. Or undercover, I should say. It's not really a proper hangar, is it? With lots of other aeroplanes here at China Lake. So yes, as I said, I'll put the links in the notes of the video of where to find the scenery add-ons that I've used for this. But yeah, there we go, the F-86 Sabre with a visit to Star Wars Canyon, as people call it. See you again soon.